Okay, so this is a full paper 3. So this is the one that includes spreadsheets and websites. It's the sample paper, so it says from 2016. So this is hopefully going to look a little bit more like what we'll expect to see from this year onwards. So task 1, evidence document. Create a new word process document. Make sure your name, centre number and candidate number will appear on every page of your evidence document by placing these details in the header. Okay, so we're going to open up a new Word document, and in the header at the top, so insert header, at the top of the page you're going to put in your details, so they appear on every page. Double click the document to get out of that. It then says that we need to save this evidence document in your work area as P3 evidence followed by your candidate number, and then it gives you an example of what it may look like. So File, Save As, and I've already copied the files that we need into here, so we're going to call it that followed by candidate number, and press save. Move that out of the way. So you're going to need your evidence document during the exam to put your screenshots in. So remember, always read the italic bit at the top because it often says this bit, which is important on this one because it says that currency values need to be in dollars to 2 decimal places. It also says that we're going to be making charts and we're working for something called Super Scuba. So use a suitable software package, load the file p3sheet.csv. So in my user area we've got the files p3sheet.csv. Okay, very first thing you need to do, or two things you need to do, click up here, resize your column so you can see what's going on, and secondly is that you need to save it as an Excel workbook. So File, Save As, into that same folder, keep everything organised, save it as an Excel workbook and press save. It may ask us to save it in a minute anyway, but it's always a good idea just to do that in case it doesn't and then you end up forgetting. So there we go, save this file with your centre number and candidate number, e.g. 20295, and then your number with an underscore. So we'll do that even though we've already done it. File, Save As, we're going to call it 20295 underscore and then your candidate number. This is the first time I'm working through this, so there may be times where we have to go back and do things like that. Insert a new row above row 1 and then in cell A1 enter that as the title. So to insert a new row, right mouse click on the number of the row you want the new row to be above. So we want it to be above row 1, so we right click on number 1, go to insert, and then in that cell there you can enter that text. It then says merge B2 to E2, so B2 to E2, and then these ones here like that, and then format these cells so that the text is center aligned. Well, it's just done that with a black 18-point sans serif font. So sans means without, therefore we don't have flicks on it, so I won't make a mistake like I did on my other video and choose the correct font this time. So center aligned, size 18, sans serif, so without, so Calibri, which is fine. Have we got to include R? We best double check. Nope. So each has a grey background colour and a thin black border. So we'll put a thin black border on using the border tool and we'll have a grey background. So it looks like that. Format A2 to R2 so that they appear the same font as those formatted in step 3. So A2 to R2. Okay, so A2 across to R2. Okay, not 2. So format cells A2 and R2 so that they appear with the same font. So that was size 18 and that was size 18, and we didn't change it from Calibri. As you can see, first time I'm going through this. So okay, in cell E4 use a function. So we're not going to do something like equals A1 plus B1 plus C1 or whatever it might be. We need to use a function, so something like sum, average, max or min, to calculate the number of trips in April, May and June. So in E4 we're going to put a function in. So first let's find E4, which is this one here. So we need to find out the total number of trips for April, May and June. So for this one it's just simply equals sum, open brackets, highlight the cells that we want to add up, press enter, and it will find out how many trips we did. You then need to do the same here, I would imagine. So E5, E6. So E5 is use a function to calculate the total income from April, May and June. Well, we can use the autofill because we just wanted to sum those numbers again. And in E6 use a function to calculate the total expenditure from April, May and June. So again, we can autofill that down. Replicate the formula entered in steps 5, 6 and 7 to calculate and display the data for quarters 2, 3 and 4. So a quarter is just obviously a quarter of a year, so it's these ones here. So basically we've got to do the same formulas or functions, here, here and here. Now you can actually, because Excel's quite a clever program, you can copy and paste those. Always worth double checking though. So if we double click on one, you can see that it's adding up the right cells. So we'll try this one down here as well just to make sure. So yeah, that's adding up the correct cells. You can just type it in again if you'd prefer to. Calculate the profit for each month and each quarter. So profit equals income minus expenditure. So it's giving you the formula for profit, which is quite nice of them. So calculate the profit for each month and then each quarter. So income minus expenditure. So the profit for each month equals income minus expenditure, and press enter. I think what they're after here is to see who then types it in all the way through here and runs out of time at the end of the exam. So what we can do is obviously use autofill to drag that along, and it will automatically calculate them all for us. Calculate the total number of trips, income, expenditure and profit for the year. Okay, so this is our year column here, so we need to calculate some totals. So for this one, we're going to do equals, and it's up to you on this one because it doesn't say to use a function, I don't think. No, it just says calculate. So we could just do equals the subtotal of that one plus the subtotal of that one plus that one plus that one, because we don't have to use a function, and press enter and it will add them up. We can then again use autofill to drag that down. If we double click, you'll see that it's adding up all the subtotals, which is exactly what we want. Okay, on the left in the footer, add your name, centre number and candidate number. We haven't saved this for a while, so if we just click on the disk, it doesn't tell you to in the exam, and obviously when you're on autopilot and you just copy what it says in the exam, you forget to do that. So please remember to keep saving it. We had a couple of people in the exam last week that nearly lost all their work. So insert in the footer, we need to put in our name, centre number and candidate number in the left. So to get to the footer, if you click on go to footer, that's the easiest way to get down here. So in the footer you need to put your name and your candidate number, and then it also said on here that on the right in the footer add the automated file name and path. So this is the right hand side, and we can go to file path, and you'll notice that it also puts the file name in. You don't also need to click on file name as well. So and path and file will put both of them in, and you'll see that when you go to print preview. So to get out of the header and footer, just click into a cell, and then you're still in this horrible view, which is like a printout view. So what you can do is go to view and then normal, and it will go back to the normal view. These lines will just show you where the page will be cut off if you were just to print it out like this, but I'm imagining that they want you to fit it to one page, so ignore this dotted line for now. Okay, in cell B9 use a function to display the greatest monthly profit. So this is B9. I'm going to make it a bit bigger. We need to display the greatest monthly profit. Therefore, we're going to need to use a max function because that will tell us the highest number. So equals max. It's not really a very good question because the best month you would expect to see a month's name there, like April or May or June, but actually what it wants is it wants you to show the greatest monthly profit, not the greatest month. Okay, so we had a few people ask that when we did this previously. So for this one, if we say we want to find out the maximum across these, and I'm going to hold Control on the keyboard so that I can highlight these, ignoring obviously the subtotals, because otherwise those will appear as the greatest because they're big numbers because they're adding up 3 different numbers. We can then close a bracket and press enter, and it should come up with the highest one, which is 28,836, which you can see was over here in January. So we then do the same for the worst month, but this time we're going to do min, open brackets, highlight the first ones, then hold Control and highlight all your others. You can't really use autofill for this one because it's a different function. So that tells us 0. Again, we had a few people going, oh, there must be an error. Well, actually, no, the worst month was December and April, where no profit was made. Again, average profit. I haven't gone back to the task, but I'm pretty sure this is what it's going to be asking us to do, but it's always going to be worth checking in a minute. We will highlight our months, press enter, and it will tell us our average profit. So we've done B11, average profit. So apply appropriate formatting to all cells except row 2. So on this point, people were wondering, well, what is appropriate formatting? Well, to start with, it did mention at the top that all currency values needed to be in dollars to 2 decimal places. So that's obviously appropriate formatting. So what we're going to do is we're going to highlight all of the currency values. So not number of trips, because this is just a bog standard number. Going to highlight all of the monetary values. Going to hold Control to do these as well, so that I can do them all at the same time. And then going to go to the Home tab, and in this currency box here, we can have the dollar symbol. It's already put it at 2 decimal places, so that's not a problem. We've got some hash symbols, so if we double click up there, that will automatically fit everything so that it fits within the cell and we can see everything. Now it does say appropriate formatting, so I mean, I don't think it will get any marks. We can have a look at the mark scheme in a moment, but it might be worth just making these perhaps bold. These are our headings, so if we set those as bold, they might stand out a little bit more. And even if they don't want you to do that, they're not going to take marks away from you. I'm going to make that a bit bigger because it looks like a title. We could possibly also underline it again to make it just look a little bit more like a title. Okay, I haven't saved it for a while, so click on the disk or Control and S to make sure that it's saved. Okay, edit the formula in B11 so that it rounds this value to the nearest whole dollar, and display it so that it only shows integer values. Now, an integer is a whole number. You perhaps know this from maths. If you don't, you do now. So an integer is a whole number, so no decimals. Edit the formula in B11. So B11 is our average profit, so it basically wants us to round this. As it wants us to round the formula or the function, we can't just use this button here to change the number of decimal places. We will have to in a moment, but what we've also got to do is do equals, and basically the way that a round works, if we just do another one over here, say if we've got the number 12.4 in here, what we would say is we want to do equals round, open brackets, we want to round that number there to 0 decimal places. So that's how the round works. You're just saying round this to 0 and it will round it to 12. So for this example up here, what we want to do is we actually want to say equals round, and open a bracket, we want to round the average of those cells to 0 decimal places. Okay, so it's probably, although they've asked you to come back and edit it, I'd still do it that way anyway, just so that you know you're getting the average right. And you'd obviously still get marks for average even if you don't do the round bit. So that will then round that to the nearest whole dollar. However, We don't want to see any decimals because it needs to be an integer. So if we decrease, I never know which button to press. Well, might help if I clicked in the right cell. I never know which button to press, so I always click it first and happen to have got the right one this time. And if not, you just click the other one. So that is now integer values. It's not got any decimal places. Again, Control and S, save your spreadsheet. Okay, so save and print. So that's always nice. You know that you finished your spreadsheet and you've got everything working, and there's no major concerns with this one. No complicated VLOOKUPs or anything like that. It might be the way that it's going now, and they seem to have got less and less as the years have gone on, but there's more theory coming in, which you'll see shortly. So make sure that it's in landscape and the row and column headings are displayed and that all the contents of the cells are fully visible. So again, I'm going to click up here and double click to make sure everything fits. The reason this one's gone across is because the title's bigger, but actually that's fine that it goes across those pages. So File and Print, and choose a suitable printer, so I'll choose B2.5. We need to set it to landscape, so that's like this here. It also then said that it needed the row and column headings, so if you go to page setup, we can go into sheet and tick the box that says row and column headings, and that will put on the A, B, C and the 1, 2, 3, etc. down the sides. I'm guessing it wanted it to fit to a page, but I've forgotten. In landscape, the row and column headings are visible and the contents of the cells are fully visible. Okay, it doesn't actually say that it needs to fit on a page. I'm going to make it anyway, just because I think it's more organised, but something I did miss was this bit here, look, where it says save and print the spreadsheet showing formula. If I had missed that out, I'd have been an idiot because I'd have lost a lot of marks. So, I'm going to go back to the actual spreadsheet and go to View. No, I'm not. I'm going to go to Formulas and click the button that says Show Formulas so that we can see all the formulas. Again, vital on this one, especially on this one, that you double click to resize all your columns. Okay. We can then do File and Print, and it didn't say to fit it on a page, but as I said, I'm going to set it to fit to one page. You're not going to lose any marks for that, as long as it's visible. So when you get your printout, check that you can read that. I'm pretty sure you will be able to. If not, as it doesn't say, just print it on 2 pages. So you'd press print, and that would print out. Okay, so print the spreadsheet showing the values this time. Make sure that it fits on a single page and that you can see everything. So we're going to take it out of formula view by ticking this box, unticking that box there. Going to resize everything. Again, move that across just because I think it looks better. And we're going to go to File and Print, and everything's set up perfectly. Didn't say you need to show row and column headings, but you're not going to lose marks for leaving it in. If you want to take it out, then you just go to Page Setup and untick the box. So you just press print on that as well. Okay. Something that they quite like at the moment, updating the spreadsheet, making sure that you can change things in your spreadsheet. It's quite a nice little task because it's ridiculously easy. So update the spreadsheet with the following data for December. The income was 45,000 and the expenditure was 42. So in December, the income was 45,000 and the expenditure was 42,000, which obviously changes everything on our spreadsheet. Print the spreadsheet showing the values, make sure it fits on a single page and the contents of them are all visible. So again, you go to your print menu, print it out so that it shows the values. The values are obviously just the numbers, not the formulas. I'm going to save it. Tells you to make sure your name's on it. Well, obviously you won't get your work if it isn't. So the spreadsheet was at 37 marks. Quite easy, to be honest. No graphs at the moment, no complicated formulas. So if you get one like that, then you're laughing. Right, okay, I'm going to pause here and then come back to it because I need a cup of tea. Okay, so went to get a cup of tea, and it's now 3 days later. So if it seems like I've forgotten what I've been doing, it's because it's been the weekend. But hopefully we'll get through it. So we're going to start the website task. Firstly, it tells us that we need to make a new folder called P3HTML, and we're going to put all of these files in it. So if we make that new folder first, okay, and then we just need to locate all the correct files. So it was all of these images, all of those images the style, the sunset and supper, I believe. We'll just double check on the task sheet. So all the images 1 to 6, the logo, sunset, supper and style. Okay, so we can then drag all of those into that folder. I don't think we need untitled one in there, even though it's a website folder, no. So, as you know by now, you get different questions when it comes to CSS. You could be writing them from scratch, or you could be fixing errors. So in this example, it says a student's tried to create a style sheet, they've made some mistakes, it should look like this. So it then says open style sheet P3 styles in a suitable software package, it wasn't finished, it's got a number of errors, make sure you fix it. Save it in your P3 folder as style followed by your candidate number. So if we switch to that file and open that one up, it will automatically open in Dreamweaver and it looks like this. It's up to you how you lay it out. You won't lose any marks for laying it out. I'm just going to spread mine out a little bit. Okay, so it's just a case of now going through. I might try and put these side by side, see if we've got enough space. A bit small. Okay, so style H1 needs to be colour FFFF00. Remember to check that it's in RGB order, because they like to mix it up to check that you're awake. So the colour needs to be, and remember to always put the hash symbol in, FFFF, and if there's 1 0 you always double it up so that there's 2. So the font family needs to be Trebuchet, if not Arial, so we're going to keep Arial there. Trebuchet, follow that by a comma so that it's this one or this one, etc. And then after Arial, it's a little bit difficult to see with it like this, might make it bigger again. Zoom in. So, if not, then Arial. If not available, then the default sans serif font. So after the comma, not sans serif. Make sure you put the dash between it, which I've forgotten. If it's a font that has more than one word, like Times New Roman, you have to put it in speech marks. But otherwise, you don't need to worry about it. The font needs to be 24 points high. So the font size is 24 pt. And it needs to be center aligned. So we've got it here, but it's spelt wrong. One thing that I always tell you to do, and I've perhaps forgotten to do, is if you put a space at the end of one of the lines and then press refresh, that will underline anything that's wrong. So if you know, for example, colours, excuse me, colour spelt wrong or centre, it will underline it. So the colour for H2 needs to be RGB. I'm just going to check through this and check if there's anything unusual. If not, then I'll just fill it out and then we'll talk about it afterwards. So the bullet points for LI need to be disk, which they already are, so that's fine, that's not a problem. P has been done for you, but there's nothing untoward there. The only thing that caught a few people out when we've done this previously is background colour. Remember that colour still needs to be OR, but also if you then press refresh again, that will still be underlined. The reason for that is because that should be a dash, not an underscore. Okay, so I'll fix this and then we'll just talk through it in a second. Okay, so this is the correct CSS code now typed in. If you want to pause it at this point, have a look at it, compare it to the question, then feel free, but it's fairly standard stuff, nothing untoward. Just make sure that you put PT if it says points high or pixels. Don't forget to put your hash symbols in. Just make sure that you're spelling colour and centre correctly. They also often seem to put let instead of left, so it's something to always have a look out for. Instead of disk, they might ask you to put square. If they want it to be a numbered list, then you have to put decimal. I don't think they'll ask you that because you now can't search the internet to find out the correct answers, but you know anyway. So, first thing we've got to do then is to save that as the name that it asked us to call it, which was P3 style .css, we need to save it as style followed by your candidate number. So style 1 2 3 4 and press save. Okay, we've still got the old one open here. We can just close that now. It seems to duplicate it for some reason. Okay, we're now doing some evidence. So take a screenshot showing the text of your style sheet and place it in your evidence document. Make sure that the file name is clearly visible. So the file name is here, so it is clearly visible. So we just need to do a print screen, put that in our Word document. Don't worry about resizing it, don't worry about cropping it, just leave it as it is and it will be visible. So using a suitable software package, open up p3supper.htm and attach the style sheet that we've just saved. So that's our suitable package, but we have it here. If we just double click on it, it's going to open in Chrome. If you right click and either go to open with or edit, then you can choose each one. If not, just open up Dreamweaver and do file and open. So we've got three views, remember, in Dreamweaver. We've got the code view, which is useful for some things. The split view, which again has its own uses, but most of the time we're going to be working in the design view. So to start with, we need to attach the style sheet. Now there are different ways of doing it along the top. You can go to Format, CSS Styles, Attach Style Sheet, or you can use this class drop-down box here, whichever one works for you. Different teachers will have told you different things. So Attach Style Sheet, browse. It should take us to the correct folder because we're saved in that folder. So we open up the style sheet and press OK, and that should change the background. So replace the text, candidate name, centre number and candidate number with your name, centre number and candidate number. So we just need to look for that. Okay, website last edited by, and they've just got commas between them, so we'll keep the commas in. Okay. Set the table border to 2 and the cell padding to be 8 pixels. So if we hover just underneath the table, you get a red bar come up, a red border, sorry. If you click on that, that will select the whole table and then you get different rows down the bottom. So the border, needed to be 2 and the cell padding needed to be 8. So cell pad needs to be 8. I'm going to put px in. Oh, no, it doesn't work. I wasn't sure. We'll just put 8 in. It must already be set to pixels. Set the table to fill the width of the window. So again, we need to select the table just underneath, so we get a different one come up. And we need to set the width to 100 and then %, because that will always then be the width of the window. I'm just going to press into the website. If we just resize that, you can see that it is now still the width of the window. And obviously the same again if you enlarge it. So replace the text place logo here with the image P3 logo. So we should have some text that says place logo here. Okay, can't find that. Replace the text place logo here. So if we can't see it in here, then it's always a good idea to check in the code, because we can't see it. Now this is one of those things that they're going to throw at you to try and confuse you. So if we go into the code, or actually we're going to the split view. Now we're looking for the text place logo here. Now as you see, as I'm highlighting it, it's highlighting over here. That text is there, it's just that the colour of the text is black and the background of the text is black. Okay, so they're just trying to confuse you and check that you know how to use Dreamweaver. So I've highlighted the text place logo here, and I'm just going to do insert image and find the logo. Press OK. It's still left us the text there. I was hoping it would replace it, so I'm just going to delete it over in the code. And if we click over here, that should jump to the left, and now that has been replaced. Then it says select the most appropriate image from those located for task 3 web page and use it to replace a starfish, shark and a turtle. So we'll go back into design view. We want the starfish here, so we're going to delete that and do insert image and then find the starfish. Same with the shark. There's a turtle. Is it that one? Is it that one? There. Okay, so we've got the images in. Resize the images placing step 28, so they're 200 pixels wide and maintain aspect ratio. Now when it says maintain aspect ratio, it of course means that it's not going to stretch. So if you click on the image, we need to get the width, wasn't it? Sorry, width as 200 pixels. So what you have to do is you have to delete the height, and then as soon as I click in here, you'll get another symbol come up. Okay, which means that it's going to lock that. So you can then press 200 and press enter, and it will resize it. You can do that for all of them. So you delete the height, change the width to 200, and obviously vice versa if it wants it to be a certain height. Okay, so that's now resized them all to the same width. Make the image P3 logo JPEG a hyperlink to send an email message to this web address with a subject holiday inquiry. So is it the logo? Yeah, the logo. So we need to click on here, click in the link box at the bottom, and you have to type in mail to and then a colon, then the web address. Now if you can't remember how to do the subject line, don't worry, that's normally worth 3 out of 5 and you get an extra 2 for doing the subject, but it is question mark subject equals, and then you write out what the subject is, which is holiday inquiry. Ooh, oh damn it. So remember capital letters. Now we've always done it like that. However, in the if we look at the mark scheme, I'm guessing I haven't checked this, but they always seem to have this %20. Now what that means in code, in like HTML code, that means a space. It might be worth putting it in. If you can't remember that, don't worry. Just put it in normally, because it does still work, and we'll write something to that effect in the report that we send off so that you shouldn't lose any marks, but it might be worth just trying to put it in anyway, so just in case it'd be funny with us. So I've just clicked off that. We just need to type in there as a space, we need to put %20, and that'll ensure that we get a space come up. Just going to press Ctrl and S to save that, just because we've done quite a lot and we don't want to lose anything. So evidence 2. Display the web page in your browser. If necessary, resize the browser window so that it fills the entire screen. Take a screenshot of the entire screen and place it in your evidence document. So we need to click on this, and you can preview it in Internet Explorer. You can press F12 on the keyboard, does the same thing. So what it's basically saying is that you want to resize that so it fits the screen. Okay, so now because we can't see this at the bottom, what I'm going to do is do 2 print screens. It doesn't say to do that, but it might not be a bad idea. The other thing you could do is perhaps zoom out, but it makes it look a little bit too small to read. So we'll do 2 print screens. So there's print screen, paste that there, and then just to be on the safe side, I'm going to scroll down and do another print screen. So evidence 3, take a copy of the HTML source and place it in your evidence document. So the HTML source is not this, which I've seen someone doing in the past. The HTML source is the code for the website. So go to the code, Control and A, or edit and select all, or just highlight it with your mouse if you must, but there's more chance of you missing something out. Copy it, right click copy or Control and C, go to your evidence document and paste it in here. So that's in your evidence document. Okay, so one thing to note is if you have a look at the website, this image isn't showing up. Now I think that's just an error with the exam board, because it's the specimen paper, they've not really tested it properly. If you right click on that and go to properties, you can see that it's looking for J13 sunset, whereas actually ours is called P3 sunset. I've checked the mark scheme, we're not getting any extra marks for fixing that error, but if they did throw anything like that in, then you would just have to double click on the image here, find the correct image, and it would replace it for you. Okay, but they haven't asked you to do that, so I wouldn't worry too much. Now the next section is one of the new sections that's come up, so you won't have seen this in a practice paper before. I could computer's just crashed. Brilliant. Okay, so that's a perfect example of why you should make sure you save your work regularly. Didn't lose anything. It was this program that had crashed, but you never know. It's always worth saving regularly. You don't want that stress in the exam. So as I was saying, this is a new section. You won't have seen it before. It's a theory section, but you're doing it on screen. So it says you're going to produce some notes for an audience of trainees learning to develop web pages for Super Scuba. So examine P3 training RTF and open it in the most appropriate software package. This word here doesn't normally come up. Okay, now the reason for that is if we just open that document, so it was, this is not my user area, it's going to my user area, so we're opening the right one. If you open that up, it will open up in Word because it's an RTF file. However, when you open it up, it doesn't look right. Okay, now the only other program you've ever opened an RTF in is PowerPoint. So you can right click and, no sorry, if you open up PowerPoint to start with, it's going to be the best bet. And just like you do with the PowerPoint task in the first exam, go to New Slide, Slides from Outline, find that file and open it up, and you'll see that it obviously looks a lot better. Okay, now we're going to delete the blank slide because we don't need that. So what it's asking us to do is make sure your name, centre number and candidate number are placed within these notes, and replace each answer here with a suitable method of reducing the dimensions of an image for use in a web page. So if we go back to that file, we need to make sure that our name is on it somewhere. So what we'll do is, if we go to View Master Slide, I mean you could just type it on each slide, you're not getting any marks for this, but if we just put in a text box, put it down at the bottom here, just put your details in. That will then appear on every slide. So if we go back to View and then Normal, we've got our name on every slide. It's not going to cause a problem. So this is where it wants us to replace the text. So images can be resized for use in two different ways. Method 1, put your answer here. Method 2, put your answer here. And that's the same then throughout the whole PowerPoint. So there's 4 slides worth of answers. Rather than sit and watch me type them out, if we have a look at the mark scheme, you can see exactly what they want you to type in. So the question was a suitable method of reducing the dimensions of an image. So the dimensions are just the width and the height. So method 1, in the HTML, set the width or height attribute of the image. So you've done that in this task anyway, so you should know that's a method. And you just change it within the HTML or within Dreamweaver, but it essentially changes it on the HTML. You could, which you've also been asked to do in the past, is open it in a graphics package, so you use Photoshop, and resize the image before resaving it with the original file name. So the next question was, what are the reasons for doing that? So replace each advantage of method here with an evaluation of why you would choose each method selected in step 31. So the reason that you would do it inside the HTML is because if you upload it in high resolution and then resize it in the HTML, it tends to become less pixelated because it's still a high quality image. Whereas method 2, an advantage is if you're uploading a lot of these images, then it's going to upload to your web server a lot quicker. So in some of the theory notes you've been given, it talks about FTP, which we'll talk about in a separate video, but as you're uploading those files, if they're smaller, then obviously they're going to upload quicker, but the resolution will be smaller. The next question then was talking about the style sheet. So you need to evaluate the appropriateness of the style sheet saved in step 21. Now if you have a look at the mark scheme, it does just say 3 appropriate evaluations, so you don't have to choose these. But what you're essentially going to have to do is have a look at the web page and analyse whether or not this style sheet is any good. Are the heading ones big enough? Is the background colour good? That kind of thing. So the things that they've come up with is the blue colour matches the sea, because it's about the sea, obviously makes sense. The background colour could be closer to that in the images if they change the hexadecimal code. The font sizes could be increased to make it more readable, and alignment of H2 could be made left or centre to improve
readability. Okay, so this is H2. It's not easy to read things that are right aligned. As we read from left to right, then it tends to either be center or left aligned. So that's what it means by evaluate. You just got to look for some good and bad points about this. But again, as long as they're appropriate and you can argue your point, then that's not a problem. So the last one is talking about the 3 web development layers. Okay, now it's going to be worth 6 marks. You're going to get 3 marks just for naming the 3 layers. So the first layer, if we just have a look at the question as well, just so you can see that, it says where the 6 marks come from. Replace each layer with the name of the web development layer, and for each layer explain what it's used for. So on our blank one, we're looking on this last side, these are the 3 layers. You're going to get 1 mark for naming each one, and then 1 mark for extra for a description of each one. So even if you can't describe them, just remember what they are and you'll be getting half marks. So the first layer is the content layer. So the content layer allows you to enter the content of a web page and create the web page structure. So typing in the text, putting in the images, sorting out where things go. You've then got the presentation layer, which is to format the whole web pages or individual elements. So this is just changing colours of things, styles, things like that. This is more about the structure, where things go. This is about how it looks. And then you've also got a behaviour layer, which is used to enter a scripting language, so some code to a web page or an individual element. Okay, you don't necessarily need to know what they do in depth. As long as you can remember those 3 sentences, then you're laughing. Okay, that then takes us down to this step, which says save and print your notes for the trainees. So you would just go to your PowerPoint, file, save it, and then print it out. It doesn't tell you how to print it, so you just whichever method you like. 2 to a page, 1 page, doesn't matter. Make sure you've entered your centre number, candidate number and name on your notes, which we have done. Print your evidence document, so we need to go to the Word document and print that out. Do not forget to print that out, it's vital. And we've obviously got our name on it. And that takes us to the end of the exam. So although this is new, as long as you learn the theory, it shouldn't really be a problem.